everybody. Good morning. I'm Monica. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
So my first question is for the three of you. In many ways, George Lopez paved the way for Latinx representation on screen. You personally to walk onto set with him?
Who wants to go first?
Ooh, I mean, for me, it was a dream come true.
Very different. Such different. Go ahead. Go hard. It's such a...
For me, it was like a dream come true because I grew up watching George Lopez and not seeing a lot of representation on screen, especially someone who looks like you, talks like you, and has the same background. And it was very limited and very aspirational for me because without him kind of paving the way, it would have made it just unattainable. I think a lot of Latinos is being Mexican myself, it was just hard to see yourself. And, me specifically, because being, Mexican, being and being queer were all things that were always told strikes against me. So they were like, don't show that you're this, don't show you that. And these are not my strikes, they're my strengths. And so to now be on a show with George and to play a family member, it's kind of like surreal. And Envy this summer, actually, we did Blue Beetle as well, but I was already freaking out about that. But doing the show, like doing the actual 3-cam, because I grew up watching the George Lopez show, like song, that opening number is iconic. And every time I hear that song, it just triggers my memory to the show over and over. So for me, it was a dream come true.
No, yeah, for me, it's crazy because I grew up watching the show, but I also have been in the business since I was a kid. So I've technically known George Lopez for like 20 years. I've met him here and there at events. He just never remembers because I was like 8 and then I was like 12 and then I was like 15. So, when I got to officially work with him for the first time on Tax Collector, I didn't really get to interact with him, but we all like are on scenes, but we were all like out and stuff. So to actually have a scene with him and like Harvey said, to be related to him when like you always felt like you were related to George, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, he's Theo George. And it was such a dream to actually kind of have that. And, one of the last scenes when everybody's in the kitchen was just like to look over at Jess and Harvey and George and Ryan and Matt and then Bryce walking in. Like, it was just a dream, like, oh, like it was beautiful.
Definitely pinch me moment for sure. I feel like I make this joke a lot, but I've seen George Lopez on my TV more than I've seen my father. So he very much was like a father figure to me, whether he knew that or not. And specifically the George Lopez show, because that was the first time I felt like I was represented because my dad's Mexican, my mom's Cuban. So it was very like those jokes rang really true for me. So I always dreamt of like, being an actor, but I didn't think I'd ever get to the point where I would be on the same set with him. So there was a few times where we were, in front of the live audience and he's sitting next to me and we were supposed to hug. And it's just, is this really happening? Like it's bizarre, but it also feels really good. And it's a little bit of like a pat on the back and like, thank God moment. Sure.
How exciting. And then also for the three of you, one of the things that I found really interesting about this episode was the different personalities that the primos have. What was it like bringing these like personalities to life?
I mean, I was just in awe watching, these two like perform because it was so like, different from what they usually play. Like Chelsea, like she said, it's something that she doesn't usually play. So to watch her do this was so nice to like see her blossom into like this character that I was like, oh my God, this is so great because you haven't done this. And for me, I usually don't play this kind of character. I usually play very quiet, submissive, and for him to be so big and studies and like, and it was just nice to play that bigger than life character. And the same with Jess, just because she, her comic timing is so great to watch her play this influencer. I think I was more entertained just by going to rehearsals and watching these two artists perform than anything. It was just like a treat every day. It was just great.
I totally agree with everything Harvey said, especially all the compliments he gave me. No, it really was because, if I could speak for Chelsea, like she was a little nervous because she was like, I haven't really done this before. And it was a water, like she really put her all into it. And it felt it felt so good to see her on that day when we were about to perform and her being like, oh, I feel it. No, I feel her now. Like, I get it. Like, I'm in this. I was just so proud of her.
Yeah.
But no, it was fun for me playing a character I haven't played before. I never get to be like a girly girl. I'm typically, someone people are running away from for one reason or another. Whatever. But no, it was fun. It was really fun to be somebody that maybe, a primo was looking up to in a way before everything came crashing.
Yeah, I know. Jess is right. I have never done a sitcom or a multicam. Like the last time and like only time I performed in front of a live audience was in middle school in like the Christmas play. So I was super nervous. So I was holding on to Jess like a security blanket, like a little baby blanket. And then like to like officially with Harvey and seeing them, like I was just watching. I was just learning from both of them the entire time. And when I really like connected to the character, it was just so much fun. And then we were all just like in it. And we're like, ugh.
And we feel like family too, because those first days when, like Jess said, like with Chelsea was like, she's such a perfectionist when it comes to her art too. You can see that she's putting in the work every day. And so she's like, was that good? And he's like, you're doing great. And so that positive information that you kind of only get, you don't always get that on set. I think it goes to without saying, because being Latinos and being, we really do tend to support each other and we're there to uplift each other. And so it really felt like we were becoming family from day one. Like day one, I remember rehearsal, it was just like, you got this, don't worry about it. You're doing great. And it's like, how was that? Is that how that was? Like, you're doing fantastic. Like, it's like, that's the kind of positive affirmation you want on set, which is not always the case that you get. And so on the George Lopez set and Lopez versus Lopez, you get that. And which is really great and made the experience even more delightful.
Yeah. And I've seen Jeff and Harvey still also asking, like, was that funny or did that play well or this? Like, it made me feel more confident. Like, oh, it's not just me. Like, wait, was that funny? Like, oh, wait, you know what I mean? Like, it's just part of the structure of also multicam where you get to be like, oh, was that good? Because if not, I'm going to go a different direction,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And you guys were so funny and so great. It was like a treat to watch. I'm excited. I hope the primos come back in other episodes because that would be amazing. And then I guess the last question I have is for Harvey, just to wrap things up. Your offer was absolutely epic, amazing and beautiful. Can you just tell me really quick how you did on that look? Because it was perfect.
Well, I know I wanted Christian Siriano to design it. And a thing in itself. And I did my research and found out that he has never designed for a plus size male. And so we made history at the Oscars where it was the first time he's dressed a plus size male ever. And I'm glad to report that it was executed perfectly. We made Vogue's list and we made so many lists of best dress, Allure, all female dress beautifully, of course, and one male. And that was me. And I was just like, it's kind of crazy to think about that, just a couple months ago. That wasn't even a possibility. And then the conversation started and we talked about it, put it together. And I worked with a stylist and Michael Fusco, who's amazing, and my hair and makeup team that I've been working forever, Romy and Connie, who do fantastic work and they've been with me for years. Romy and I have been friends since 4th grade and she's my makeup artist. So we did a before and after where it started, which was in high school doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. She did my makeup and I was Charlie, and how it's going. We're at the carpet at the Academy Awards. So it's come full circle, and even the Vanity Fair look as well. I went from it was a nod to someone in the 1920s who was vintage in the 1920s, which was the gilded. So it was Gilded Age bottom, 1920s top. So imagine when someone in that time would have done a throwback. And I like the idea of recreating history looks. We weren't represented. We don't see a lot of Latinos that were in the carpet in the 20s and the 30s. We don't see them in the office. So I wanted to revisit history and maybe revisit and redo. Let's say redo of it. And I'm proud of the work we did. And the Vanity Fair was just me in underwear suit.
Well, it was wonderful. Thank you all so much for taking the time to speak with us. And I hope you have an incredible day.
Thanks so much, Monica.
Thank you.